When you enter the Choo barn, the first thing you see is something very unique for a model railroad, a baseball game. Tom has even outfitted the home team with Choo barn uniforms. It's the bottom of the ninth. The pitcher's in the stretch and the winning run is on third base. Will he score? Well, that's up to you. Let your imagination be your guide. They can even play night games here, now that the new lights have been installed. Right next to the ball diamond is a nice little city park. There's a playground here for the kids, and the adults are listening to a great band concert on the lawn. This huge fountain is a recent addition to the park, and it's a real eye-catcher at night. Perhaps the most impressive attraction at the park is the Hall of Presidents. Just down the road from the ball diamond in the park is the Traintown Zoo. Like so many things on the Choo barn layout, this zoo started very small. But today, the zoo is much larger and even has a little train running around the perimeter just for the zoo visitors to ride on. The zoo is a real showplace with lots of animated scenes, and it's the little animated scenes that make this layout so special. Tom has spent thousands of hours designing, building, and installing over 150 animations all around the layout. We don't normally see police officers in the zoo parking lot, but in this case I'm glad he's here. He's giving the owner of this fancy yellow convertible a parking ticket. Maybe the owner will think twice before he takes up 2 spots in the lot again. Some of the animated scenes on this layout are pretty cute and a little complicated. For example, out in the backfield, this farmer's got a problem with a groundhog. Every time that critter rises up out of his hole, the farmer gets ready to plug him. But that old groundhog is just too fast for him, and he always ducks out of the way before the farmer can get off his shot. Speaking of coming up out of a hole, this guy's doing some work underground, and the trolley just misses him as he comes up out of that manhole. Wow, that was close! The traffic out on the country road is stopped for a moment as the school bus makes a stop to pick up the kids on their way to school. After school, several of the boys love to hang out here in this neat little tree house. They're trying to get their dog up into the tree house, but things don't seem to be working out too well. I hope the boy trying to grab the dog doesn't fall out of the tree house. It's a special day on the farm. A brand new tractor's being delivered today. Looks like he's a deer fan. This little scene is one of the most complex custom-built animations on the layout. Be sure to watch the rollback sequence on this DVD to see how Tom built this. This young man is flying his model airplane in front of the farmhouse. Maybe he's dreaming of becoming a pilot someday. Overhead, a real aircraft circles the farm. There are so many of these wonderful animations around the layout that the Choo barn model railroad absolutely sparkles with life. The area around Strasburg, Pennsylvania is Amish country, and the Choo barn layout would not be complete without an Amish barn raising. While the men are busy at work on the new barn, the women are busy preparing the afternoon meal. The horses that brought all these folks here wait patiently until it's time to head home again. Just as in the real Strasburg, It's common to see an old-fashioned Amish barn alongside a modern highway, bustling with traffic. Back closer to town, there's construction of another kind going on. These carpenters have just started framing in a new house, while up on Cherry Hill Road, the general contractor and an electric utility crew are working on a new brick home. The pile driver is doing its thing over here, while the backhoe operator is digging a trench for the new plumbing hookup over here. They had to clear a lot of brush from this lot to make room for the house. This dozer operator is shoving some of the brush and wood over the side of the hill to get rid of it. Nearby is a construction project that's all finished. The congregation at the local church just finished replacing all the stained glass windows in the church. Aren't they beautiful? The folks who live in this ranch home finally decided to fix the roof. New homes mean more people, and more people means more traffic. There's a major repaving operation underway on the main drag into town, and it's a big project. The paving company has amassed a lot of equipment on this site in order to get the job done as quickly as possible. Fresh, hot asphalt is being carefully laid on the road right next to the ballpark. The new road base is being graded here. The paving guys will get to this section tomorrow. This project even includes a new water line, replacing an older, smaller line. New street lights are also part of the project. These fellows are installing new decorative street lamps, replacing all these older, worn-out lamps. This road runs right next to the main line, and the traffic there never stops. In addition to all the paving work, the road crew also has to protect this busy railroad crossing. Over on the east side of town, all the River Road traffic has been detoured over to Route 846 because the electric company is stringing some new lines along River Road. Tom often adds personal touches to the layout in tribute to family members. Tom has dedicated this scene to his son Kevin. Kevin is getting a ticket from a Strasburg police officer, and the scene is in honor of the number of speeding tickets that Kevin received when he first started driving. Just beyond the construction zone, there are some sharp-looking cars parked along River Road. I wonder what's going on. Oh, I see. A few of the local hot rodders are taking advantage of the now deserted road to have a little fun. Most of the fellas doing the racing bring their cars here when they need gas or repairs. The Strasburg Auto and Cycle Center has a great reputation around these parts, which is why they're always busy. They must do good work. One of the reasons there is so much construction going on is because there's a lot of good jobs in the imaginary world of the Choo barn. Here's the largest employer on the railroad. This is the Dole Stone and Gravel Company's huge gravel pit just outside the city limits over on the east side of town. This huge gravel pit is one of the largest animations on the layout. Tom spent hundreds of hours building and perfecting this huge scene. The highlight of the quarry operation is this animated clamshell crane that picks up the gravel from the base of the pit and puts it into this hopper. The gravel is then sorted by size, cleaned and readied for shipment to customers, all by rail, of course. Modeling things from real life around Strasburg is another unique aspect of the Choo barn layout. For example, here's the Dutch Haven gift shop, located just a little east of Lancaster on busy U.S. Route 30. The traffic on the miniature Route 30 looks pretty busy too, and I'll bet this model of the Dutch Haven sells as many shoe-fly pies as the real thing. Longtime visitors to Lancaster County will remember this building. This is the Willows Restaurant, and not too long ago it was the place to eat in Lancaster County. People came from miles around to enjoy good food, good times, and make lots of memories. Here is another major Lancaster County attraction, Dutch Wonderland. The real park is also located along Route 30, just east of Lancaster. This popular amusement park draws thousands of visitors every year. The Choo Choo Barn's model of Dutch Wonderland is another of Tom's amazing animated scenes. Starting with this main building, which is a work of art in itself, there is a lot to see here. This monorail whisks passengers around the park and shares a bi-level station with another little train that runs around the park. Inside the park, there are amusement rides. There's even a cable car that gives folks an aerial view of the park. Uh-oh. Looks like this fella didn't quite make it into the parking lot before he had a little trouble. I hope he gets that flat tire fixed soon. Some folks come a long way to visit the Choo Choo Barn and Dutch Wonderland, and they've got to have a place to stay. The Red Caboose Motel in Strasburg fills the bill for the real people, and the imaginary visitors to the Choo Choo Barn Railroad stay at their own motel of the same name. Tom has chosen to model the Caboose Motel the way it was originally, when all the cabooses were painted the same. It might have been tough to pick your favorite caboose back then, but it's certainly easy to pick your favorite railroad the way the cabooses are painted now. Just like the real Caboose Motel, the Strasburg Railroad runs right past the motel. Tom's model of the Strasburg Railroad is a masterpiece of automated train operation. The model runs just like the real railroad in every way. When the train arrives at Lemon Place, the locomotive uncouples from the train, runs around the train in the siding, then couples onto the other end of the train for the return trip back to Strasburg. This uncouple and runaround process is repeated at the Strasburg station. The train pulls into the station, the locomotive uncouples and pulls ahead to the switch, then the locomotive backs up to the water tank to take water. After a brief pause to fill the tank, the locomotive moves back to the switch at the other end of the station and moves back in to couple to the train for the next trip. All this marvelous operation happens automatically, and the Strasburg Railroad makes hundreds of trips on the Choo Choo Barn layout every day. There's one more real building on the Choo Choo Barn layout, but you won't find this one along Route 30. No, this one is sort of special because it's a model of Tom and Linda Groff's home. Sure looks comfy. Another way in which the Choo Choo Barn layout tries to create realism is in the way the trains operate. For example, here's a westbound Reading freight train heading into the passing siding to wait for a meet with the eastbound Amtrak train. The dispatcher's doing a great job of keeping the trains moving because only moments after the freight stops here, the big Amtrak diesel roars out of the tunnel and on east towards its destination. Then, only moments after the passenger train clears, the Reading freight is rolling west again. Life on the railroad is busy and fast. But over on the edge of town, there's another baseball game going on. This is just a sandlot game with some of the guys from the neighborhood, but even they have a little problem. It seems they don't want to let any girls play in this game. One of the local police officers just happened to drive up to watch a little of the game, and one of the girls who wants to play is pleading her case with the officer. Somehow I don't think it'll do much good. The Boy Scouts are camping out tonight near the old grist mill. The creek near the grist mill is one of many places where Tom has used real water on the layout. There's just no substitute for the look of real water cascading down a small rapids like this. Over in the freight yard near the coal tipple, they're replacing some old rail in the yard. Now this is a small yard and it's kind of tight over here. Even so, trains still make regular stops here every day. Gotta keep the equipment clean, and this guy's doing his part. At the west end of the coal yard, over by the old passenger station, a small group of guys is working on an old steam locomotive. They hope to be able to restore it and pull a special excursion with it every once in a while. That steam locomotive sits close to the old passenger station. Years ago, this station was quite busy, but now it hasn't been used in years. The railroad hasn't bothered to tear it down, but if they don't do something with it soon, it's going to fall down all by itself. It took a lot of time and effort to make this old station look like this. It's just one of hundreds of structures on this layout that have been scratch-built by Tom or his father. Have you ever heard the term, head for the barn? These cows on the dairy farm evidently know about it because they're doing just that, heading for the barn at the end of a long day. The area around Strasburg is Amish farm country with some of the nicest looking farms you'll ever see. This farmer does some planting as well as managing a few head of dairy cattle. Even with all these marvelous little details to enjoy, the trains are what tie all the scenes together, and there are a lot of them to see here. The rail traffic is really moving on the Choo Barn layout, but the highway traffic has come to a stop over here on Route 741. I wonder what's wrong. Oh, here's the reason for the traffic jam. There's been an accident. Don't get too worried, though. We checked with the hospital, and the accident victim will be okay, just minor injuries. Near the accident scene, in the midst of the traffic jam, a sign crew is using a mobile crane to put up a new billboard. And right behind that billboard, you'll find K&J Hobbies, the local hobby shop. In another family tribute, K&J Hobbies happens to be named after his daughter and son-in-law, Christy and James. The trucking company just dropped off some new product here, but they left the boxes in the parking lot. Here's the main passenger station on the Choo Barn layout, and it's a busy place. Trolleys come and go on the trolley line, while out on the main, Amtrak passenger trains make regular stops. The conductor on the passenger train, who calls out the real names of nearby towns, sounds like he's anxious to get going.
Train number 68 to Thaddeus Stevens departing at 2 p.m. for Fairview, Western Shade, Cherry Hill, Groff's Grove, Carpenters, Byler's Crossing, Lemon Place Junction, and Paradise, PA. What?
The station has an escalator inside to move people up to the platform, and there's even a rail fan with a camera taking pictures of all the action. Just east of the passenger station, behind this chain-link fence, is a rather strange outfit. The company is called the Who's It and What's It Manufacturing Company, but that doesn't tell us very much. Peeking down into the skylight, we can see that they load heavy crates into boxcars, but nobody seems to know just exactly what they do. Now, here's an interesting sidelight about the Who's It's and What's It's Manufacturing Company. When Tom was painting the sign for this building, he had it all finished and accidentally put a little blue blemish on the sign at the top. Instead of getting upset about it, he decided to fix the problem by putting a sign painter up on the roof. We'll let him fix it. Turkey Hill is a large convenience store chain that is very popular in this part of Pennsylvania. Using plans supplied by the Turkey Hill Company, Tom built an exact replica of a Turkey Hill store, complete with this lighted fuel price sign. Tom can change the prices on the sign and keeps them in step with the real-world gas price. There are a lot of beautiful homes on the Choo Barn Railroad, and wait a minute! This house is on fire! Somebody call the fire department! That was close. Good thing the firehouse is right down the block. The crowning achievement in animation on the Choo Barn layout is this huge circus scene, which takes up the entire south end of the layout. Tom has pulled out all the stops here, with tiny animated scenes everywhere you look. Like almost everything on this layout, the circus wasn't always this big. Many years ago, the circus was nothing more than a little tent in the corner of the layout. But today, the circus itself is huge, and the scene also includes this amusement park. This Ferris wheel is yet another example of Tom Groff's stunning ability to scratch build. Yes, he built this Ferris wheel from scratch, and even its drive mechanism is just like the real thing, with a long cable running around the perimeter of the wheel. Tom also scratch-built this ride, the Scrambler. Inside the big top, the action is non-stop. When the Christmas holiday season rolls around, the Choo Barn becomes even more magical.
Don't miss Choo Barn's Christmas layout, a merry makeover of our gigantic model train display. Search for our hidden Santas tucked around the 22 moving trains and 150 animated figures and scenes, complete with festive lights and decorations. The Choo Barn Christmas display open the day after Thanksgiving through the end of the season. See how many Santas you can find.
This huge display of Lancaster County in miniature is an absolute delight, but there's even more. Inside the Strasburg train shop, just a few steps from the Choo Barn main entrance, you'll find a full-line hobby shop with almost anything a model railroader could ever want. And if you want a great meal after your visit, Isaac's Restaurant and Deli is literally right next door. The Choo Barn is open 7 days a week from April through December. Special group rates are available and tour buses are always welcome. The Choo Barn is on Pennsylvania State Route 741, just east of Strasburg. You can't miss it. There's no doubt about it. The Choo Barn is a magical miniature wonderland that all ages will enjoy. Stop by and see us soon.